Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's Sunday Scan video for June 1st and the week ahead. My name is Stan, and I will be your host this week while Chris continues to enjoy the newlywed way of life. Rumor has it that he will be back at some point this year, so I guess we'll see. I'm only joking. I know he'll be back soon, and I hope he's fully enjoying his time. So on to some general market thoughts. We continue to be in this headline-driven market where it could prove difficult to manage risk, or it could prove difficult to navigate. And especially, as we see the increased volatility and range expansion, there's simply no shortages of opportunities, in my opinion. I think whether you're looking for a long setups, which this past week, obviously we saw the market come in a little bit. We saw NVDA reported earnings, and it's been pretty weak since then. So all of that's been weighing on. But the week before, it was exactly the opposite. So the environment shifts, from week to week, from day to day, and even within the day, intraday, you're able to pinpoint precisely or within great confidence of that shift of sentiment. Whether it would be due to some sort of a PR or some sort of a headline, etc. I think it's been a market where staying nimble and focusing and being not only for the execution, but then also being on the side of the reward, right? If you're on the long side, if you've already are in the position and you see that rip, then I think it's worth locking some in. Or if you're on the short side, etc. When you see that morning flush, when you see that flush out of the gate, it's before 10 a.m., it's before 10:30 a.m., etc. Oftentimes it's been much easier to lock some in, reevaluate if it wants to retest later on, and then rejoin that trade. Outside of that, we continue to have those couple of sectors running. We have the quantum sector, names like RGTI, IONQ, QBTS, QUBT, etc. And then we also have the nuclear sector as well, OKLO, SMR, NNE, some of the more popular ones. And in this competing environment, right, for the liquidity, I think it's important to focus on, if you're focusing on a particular basket, within that basket, it's important to focus on relative strength versus relative weakness. What's that relationship like? Because once something pulls up or once something rips higher, there are some consequential events that occur, which is where the opportunity lies, right? If we take a look at something like say the quantum space, for example, you can look at IONQ, and then we can also look at QBTS, and both of those names have been relatively holding that gap that they've had, but then when you switch over to RGTI, it came apart much quicker. Same with QUBT, it came apart much quicker this previous week, and it pretty much gave up the week before's excitement. So these are some of the things to note in this competing environment. I think it's important to recognize where the opportunity lies, and then make a trade plan according to that. Several other highlights from last week, of course, as I mentioned, being NVIDIA's earnings was one of them. We also had a really fantastic opportunity with CRWV, which I'll actually go into it in a few minutes. CRWV, we had that red day, that gap up and red day, and then also HOLO, HOLO. That one is a repeat offender type of name, a name that we've seen many times in the past, but that one came about. And then other names, we had BMGL on Friday, which had a fantastic end of day move. and then it came in after hours a little bit, and then many other ones, several sub-dollar movers as well. And just in general, I think this market has been providing great opportunities, regardless of say what your playbook may be, right? If you have a particular playbook, there have been a lot of different setups with different market caps, different names, sectors, price ranges. I think it's been, it's a great environment to be involved in. However, of course, with risk being the first in mind. And with that, before I get into some of the main watches for next week, what I'd like to do is go over a couple of these names that I mentioned earlier, CRWV and HOLO, and as I was able to participate in that price action as well. And I think these are some of these concepts we cover on daily basis here in Investors Underground, and especially with HOLO, HOLO, I was able to use some of our internal tools that we have built over the years, and one in particular that I used for this trade was historical analytics. And HOLO essentially is, it's one of the trades that I had on, I believe, on Tuesday. But the historical analytics tool is this right here. Essentially, I'll just put in HOLO to look it up, and I want the high volume days. And while this loads up, so for me, the trade on, I believe it was, yes, on Wednesday, May 28th, you can kind of see HOLO. What I'd like to do is take a look on a higher time frame, and as you can see, it's a name that essentially does a lot of the same things. It has that big move. It has a couple of days on the spotlight, and then it gives it all up with sprinkled volume here and there, which is why I like to use the historical analytics tool within IU, because it allows me to actually see how did this particular ticker behaved previously. And especially when it's a low flow, smaller market cap, easier to manipulate type of name. This is a name that it's typical that they might use the same firms, they might use the same players, for the trades, etc. So oftentimes their behavior ends up being the same over time. And as you can see here, on the last time it had pretty decent volume there of 221 million a day was December 30th of last year there, just so about 6 months ago. And here's what the intraday chart looks like. And this is what I like to pay attention to, because that starts to give me this blueprint. It starts to give me an idea of if and when HOLO does want to go for another round of its usual ways, right? As you can see, it has that run up and then it gives up, it runs, it gives, it runs, it gives, etc. So when it decides to do that, I want to be ready for it. And it was this day here on May 28th. And as you can see, here's what this day's chart looked like. And again, here is what the chart from December 30th looks like, right? So it has a very similar characteristic, very similar build, very similar, also similar price range. But that essentially became the basis for the trade. And with HOLO, I believe I started in some long right over here. Again, keeping the overall idea in mind that if they're doing their day one today, we'll probably see some sort of a blow off move towards end of day, and then maybe it it kind of pulls back a little bit. So it's going to start and slowly grind away. At some point, you can clearly see the acceleration and then the blow off move, and then it comes in towards end of day. So as Holo was starting to do that little grind price action behavior, I was able to start in, and then was just adding along the way. And we had a nice little speed up here into the nines. This channel here was defined. You can kind of see on a higher time frame, on a 1 hour type of thing. You can see it. The previous move, early May, essentially is where it had a little bit of congestion. So that's kind of where that channel came from, and then we firmed up that channel, and on its merry way it went. So this was a decent trade. I had to leave by 2 p.m. I actually flipped short. And I was able to cover right before I left, but I was able to ride this long pretty much from like I said, right as it was starting to develop the move, and then I was able to recycle some and flip short, but I did not participate to see the end of day fail. The overall idea was to showcase how utilizing some of the internal tools that we have within the platform allow me to generate ideas, allow me to have a little bit more confidence behind what I'm trading, what I'm seeing, because this essentially is it's the same chart that happened end of year last year. You have this slow grind, slow acceleration, blow off move, and then the end of day fail. And again, we saw exactly that happen on Wednesday of last week, and so that was Holo. Here is my trade that I had on it. You can see the start of the position, and then again, like I said, I try to flip short towards this 1 o'clock, but I had to leave the desk by 2, so I left it alone from there on, and missed this end of day nice little pullback there from high 11s into essentially that above that channel that we identified earlier. But within this setup, there again, if I were at the desk, I think this provides for some great fail to follow through opportunities as well. Once you have this trend break that you've had pretty much for all morning, all day, right? It's not perfect, but it gives you an idea of the momentum. It gives you an idea of the sentiment. So once that broke here, you can see a very nice clean tens, essentially, give or take. So the double digits versus single digits type of liquidity. You have that pivot here, and then once it rejected 11s versus this congestion area, it provided for a nice unwind into end of day, and then a little bit after hours. So a lot of great opportunities on Holo in general, and again, typical of HOLO, you can kind of see the following days. Essentially, it gave up the entire move. So that was Holo, and it's again, I think it's the main thing to highlight here was the tools that are built within IU allow for a very quick check, right? I can check my thesis against them. I can search historical analytics by various different parameters. My favorite one is just the high volume days because it allows me to see pattern behavior, especially on names and tickers like HOLO that they just probably use same firm over and over again. So that was HOLO. HOLO, and the other ticker that I wanted to also go over was CRWV, because this was a really good opportunity there on Thursday of last week. So the day after NVIDIA's earnings, they reported. They reported on Wednesday, so the day after NVIDIA's earnings is when we had this opportunity there. And essentially, your standard, I guess, gap up parabolic and fail. But we had a very clean clear out of this 127's top that we see previous here. So we cleared that out, and from that point forward, once VWAP failed, it never looked back. So that's essentially what I used for a trigger for the trade that I had on. I used a combination of a higher time frame and then also a lower time frame, more so for entry. But the measured move essentially for the first part of the trade was into the 117s, 116s, right? That was the first part of the measured move, and then once this gave out, once it failed, then you pretty much went into the next higher time frame, which you're in a way supporting this structure. So once that structure failed, then we had a complete unwind towards end of day, and that was something that I was able to participate in. Essentially, the position started with some starters right as we were exhausting the 127s, clear level there, and then I was able to add on VWAP break and essentially followed it throughout the day as well. Had some attempts here and then left it alone and was able to participate into this fail versus lows. So a couple of different opportunities here I think could have been realized. And for me, the one that stands out most is that it's that break of towards end of day, towards 2 p.m. lows. Given that what you're defending now, right? Given that what this 118s, 119s level, what that's defending is the inventory that sits above the existing move. And now that we're coming off the back of NVIDIA's earnings, once that floor failed, we saw this, really, really aggressive flush. Essentially, this entire inventory that's been supported above the 120s gave out. So this was the trade on CRWV on that day, as you can see the starters and then just the management along the way. Again, I tried it a couple times here, and then I lost interest. And once that same heaviness came back, we were next to or right below that key 120s, 118s level. I was able to join the move for the rest. There was some indecision here. I had some long attempts, but ultimately went back into the short side. So that was CRWV. Those were just some of the highlights that I've had from last week. More so, some of the I mean, there were so many other opportunities and tickers that were flying around. I think these stand out mainly. Like I said, the HOLO trade I wanted to mention. Just there are a lot of these trades that I'm able to use. Some of the technology that we have within the IU platform, and then the CRWV. I think that was just a standard type of a setup that we trade in IU every day. We trade these gap up clear outs. We trade the failed momentums. We trade the rejection of VWAP, etc. Just the overall momentum of the daily price action is something that we go over on daily basis, and with that, I think I can go into the top some of the main watches for next week, And before I jump into the main watches for next week, I just wanted to mention that I am not a financial advisor. These are not buy or sell recommendations. This video is for informational and educational purposes only. If you're okay with that, let's continue on. If you're not, that's okay too. We'll see you on a different video. So the first ticker that I have on watch is BMGL. BMGL, really nice move there, end of day. And you know, this, I mean, this is a type of chart that we've seen often. Even Holo could fit this description that we had last week. You know, you have this single day, you know, first day type of, or, you know, yeah, single day wonder. Now, obviously, it's a little bit of a shorter chart. This one, I don't know if this is a new IPO or an uplist or something, but essentially there isn't much data behind that I can take a look and, you know, sink my teeth into. So that alone, right, that aspect alone already puts this, you know, more so on the cautious side for Monday morning, more so on, you know, let it show what it wants to do first. Given the move that we had, oftentimes with such a big move, you know, the following day maybe it gaps down and it does like an inside day. Whether it's an inside day of all day red or it's whether it's a red inside day or green inside day, you know, there oftentimes it does that to congest and to digest the move. So just several things that I'm just noting as far as why it's on watch for me for Monday is I liked that speed up into end of day. I like that exhaustion that it had. I think if it had some, you know, shorts in there, if people were not respecting their risk and not, you know, respecting that the clear essentially trend, you know, you could get into this add type of situation, and then here it is. It's 3:30, 3:45 on a Friday afternoon, end of month, end of week. You're upside down, you know, $1.50 a share. Like, what do you do, right? So there is a lot of that you know that happens end of day, to where when you're faced with such decisions, you know, whoever's running the book, like they know that, right? So this essentially becomes peak liquidity, and that interests me, right? Interests me whether I participate in it or not. It doesn't matter. Why it interests me for the following day is because this is inventory that's now no longer relevant, right? This is inventory that's now out. So anyone that was here on the wrong side, now they're out. Anyone that bought is in. And if on Monday morning we check in with this 550 sixes and it rejects, then it's something that I'm interested in. So this, you know, BMGL will again, you know, will be on watch for Monday, and ideally we get some sort of a gap up, or even if it opens flat, maybe it flushes 470s, 450s, but ideally we get some sort of a gap, and then somewhere towards open, near open, we see something towards 6. Check in again, you know, check in with this congestion area here into the 6s, 7s, and then look for a fail to follow through. This isn't a name that I don't mind maybe having a few starters in there, but it's not a name that I want to build against trend, simply because like I mentioned, I just, you know, it's a brand new chart to me, and I don't really have much information. For me, I'd rather have that confirmation. I'd rather have that, you know, something like this, right? Have that inventory above that I can risk against, and you know, and it's inventory with volume. It's not just they're not just empty shares. So ideally Monday morning something over 560s. If we, you know, open up over 5, if we, like I said, gap up ideally over 560s, maybe open up around 6s, shoves, and then look for a fail to follow through from there. The next one that I have on watch is NVTS. And NVTS, I'm actually watching this more so for the long side. I did have a swing long position on this, but I was able to sell some into this. Actually, most of it, I no longer own any of it. I was able to sell most of it here into the sevens, and then stopped out 650s, I think, or 660s. And then ideally, what I'd like to see from this one on Monday, or just next week, I'm keeping a watch on it. I wanted to digest this move, right? Because here we are. This thing was a buck or so, sub $2. Just a couple of weeks ago, and here we are. It hit almost 8, 770s or so, almost 8. Say 7-8 days later. So a lot of that, that's a big move for it to remain in play. That's a big move for that momentum to continue. So that's essentially what I'd like to see, is some sort of a digestion, maybe a couple of days digestion of this. You have this move here, and then you have another one here. So similar. You have a big move, it comes back, digests, and then you have a secondary move, comes back, digests. But now we're holding at the higher range here. So if over the next couple of days this thing starts to firm up on the fives, maybe 550s, sixes, then we could see potentially a bigger move. There are some news that it's with NVDA or whatever the connection is there. Again, it all has a part in it until it doesn't. So just make sure that the thesis there is correct. The next couple that I have on watch, or several, or they're more so bunched together. PLTR. This. I was watching this PLTR on Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday, and yeah, it must have been Thursday, because it was before this big green bar, and I was discussing it with a buddy, and we were essentially watching what Uber did, which was it was similar chart, and then it just failed, right? It provided a nice failed red bar, but PLTR ended up completely reversing. So here we are, back to pretty much all-time highs, and then which is why it goes on the radar for next week. Ideally, this might offer maybe a clear out 135, 140, something like that, and sit back from there. But again, I think as far as making making a definitive plan that it's not the morning of in this headline driven market tends to be a waste of time sometimes. Just given this move that we had on Friday, which was just pretty intense. It went from 122 to 130, then back to 122, back to 130. That's a pretty wild move there that we had. So essentially, POTR will remain on radar. Again, I think there might be some opportunities, whether it would be on on a gap up clear out, something like CRWV did that Thursday of last week, or if this thing flushes out of the gate. It flushes out of the gate, and then it firms up versus this 128s versus this 129s, and then it starts to inch up towards 10:30 a.m. I think we may, it may catch some legs for the next move higher. So I'm keeping an open mind with PLTR. CRWV will remain on watch as well. I think the daily chart is still pretty extended. This is still very much in its proper trend. By no means am I bearish on it in any way. Even trading it this day, again, this is just taking advantage of the overall opportunity. It does not mean that because I'm shorting it, I think it's going back to zero. So keeping that in mind, I don't mind participating now that we've changed this trend, now that we have shifted this overall trend line, if you would, right, from essentially mid of the month. I don't mind participating on any exhaustion moves, as long as that's what they remain, as long as they remain exhaustion moves and they're not, they don't firm up or they don't exhaust, come back, hesitate, congest for a little bit, then leg up a little bit and do their little grind action throughout the day. I'm not interested in that grind. So, but if it opens up something like CRWV for now, if say on next week we open up, we gap into 112s, clear out 115s. This for me is a key level. I can risk something versus 115s if it fails to follow through, because now that we've finally shifted trend, at least in the interim, it provides a good risk to reward opportunity. But again, on a on the overall trend, this is still very much within a bigger, higher trend. It's like I said, this one or a couple of days under a specific trend line is of no significance. So for me, it will remain on watch. Ideally, some sort of a setup versus this 112, 115s level. And some of the last that I have on watch are going to be the quantum basket. So QBTS is one of them. Obviously, as we discussed it earlier, this one has essentially much similar to IO and Q. It's holding a little bit stronger than the rest. But with that, we'll be watching RGTI and QBT, and these are more so watching as a daily driver type of a name. There's an opportunity within the set, within the quantum basket, within these names all throughout the day, every day, that something that it rips up 80 cents and then it comes back a buck, then it goes back up 50, 60 cents, it flushes another $1.50. So this type of price action, this type of environment has been existing so far over the last several weeks, and I think overall that's something that if you're good at your craft, if you're good at respecting risk, if you are good at your setups and you're very familiar and very very in tune with your setups, it's a great environment to perform. So RGTI, QBTS, more of the same. What I'm looking for is, any sort of speed up, any sort of exhaustion moves. These type of speed ups interest me. Or as we have a day that it fails to follow through and then it holds, then the following day as it clears out the previous congestion zone, that also interests me. So there are several setups here within the quantum space and within the quantum names that can be taken advantage of. But ultimately, again, main watches being QBTS to watch more so as a guide. But even now that again, we've experienced some sort of stall in momentum that we've had since this pretty decent gap up. I don't mind being there in the event that again we get something that closes the gap, or we get something that drives this lower. And then as far as the last one that I had was more so on a just noting the chart, noting some of the similar charts that we've had here previously. So CrowdStrike, CRWD, it's pretty much at its peak here at the 470s level. So one thing that what I'd like to see on a big chart like that is some sort of a gap up and parabolic type of action. So that would interest me on CRWD, on CrowdStrike next week. Something 475, 480, and then maybe run through 500. So that is what I will be watching for. And with that, I believe that completes the scan portion and the main watches portion of the video. I hope you guys have enjoyed the content, and if you have any comments or suggestions, please make sure to leave them in the comment section below. And have a great day, and I will see you in the room.
Thank you everyone for watching. If you want to trade live alongside me and other members of the Investors Underground community, then check out investorsunderground.com to see if becoming a member is the right decision for you. They have some of the best technology and a lot of great members there, all looking to help other people improve their trading. And also check out Investors Underground content on YouTube and Twitter. Thank you.